Hi, guys! We're back again. We're in the same club. It's the same day. Anyway, we're doing these all back to back. That's why we look the same. We didn't just like stay up all night and just.
I know, right? Yeah, it was like for the continuity of the film.
Yes.
So just.
Okay, so we're going to talk about Loki, which just finished up this week. This last episode is this week, so yes, once like we said with the other two videos, spoilers. So if you haven't seen it yet, click away and come back and watch it when you're done watching it. So let's talk about the basic premise here. Basically, Loki, if you recall in Endgame, he took the Tesseract so he could go into a different dimension.
Or at the very least, escape his fate.
Yes. So he goes, and this group called the TVA, the Time Lords, controlling thing. They basically catch him messing with the timeline, which is a sacred timeline.
Yes, and one sacred timeline.
Yes.
No deviations.
So then he goes to kind of a DMV type of situation there, which is very...
That's really funny.
Yeah, and it's... Sinister was talking about it. He mentioned kind of how it feels like a futuristic of like 1970s future.
Yes.
Because it's got that very much just the way the set
like
pieces
the analog clocks.
Yeah, and the computers even. Yeah. Like they have some futuristic things that would normally do, but like they have some...
But it's very much, 60s and 70s. Mm-hmm. I really liked that. Yeah. Very cool design.
And then you have Owen Wilson playing Mobius, and him and Loki, he saves Loki from just being wiped right out by the judge. And they kind of start to form a friendship and stuff like that. And clearly he's a fan of Loki's history and stuff like that. He basically chases a lot of Lokis through time. And as we learned that there's another Loki out there that's killing off the TVA agents when they try to go after the other Loki. And then we learned that this is Loki is Lady Loki / Enchantress. She's kind of a combo character.
She goes by Sylvie, but it's an amalgamation of
it's basically
Lady Loki and Enchantress.
Yeah. And then we sort of see kind of, they're chasing her, and then Loki goes into a place with her, and they're on this kind of world together and kind of getting to know each other's characters and stuff like that. And then it basically leads to them, eventually getting zapped out themselves, and then they end up in this kind of purgatory where there are other Lokis. We'll get to that in a minute. And then we end up basically, towards the end, they get past this world that had been blocked by this big monster.
Yeah, past the end of time.
And then they basically meet a character who we'll get to in a minute, which basically opens up the multiverse.
Yes.
It's basically, that's the little short of this thing. So let me just say, I had a lot of fun with this show.
Yes.
I enjoyed the other two shows very much, but to me this is my favorite of the three, and Tom Hiddleston's a big part of that, because he's definitely plays the role well. Owen Wilson was great as well. They had great chemistry. I liked the woman who played Sylvie. Pretty much I liked all the characters. I didn't feel like there was anybody that like, oh god, that person sucks.
Yeah, all the characters. All the characters felt really strong, including like Judge Renslayer.
Yeah,
like the characters who get introduced in the series. Judge Renslayer.
I actually
really liking Hunter B-15.
Yeah, she was cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, in terms of the positives, like I said, there are many. Like I said, the acting is solid across the board. There's a lot of...
Tara Strong as Miss Minutes.
Is great. There's a lot of, like I said, good acting. There's a lot of amazing set pieces. Just some of the futuristic stuff they do, and just some of the shots that they take, this nice slow shots and stuff, being able to show off this... and of course, there's an amount of CGI here and there, where it can be like, I'm looking at a green screen.
Right. The end of, was it episode 3? Yeah, episode 3, where they're trying to get off this exploding planet, and it's all just like one continuous Birdman-esque shot of them like running from place to place, trying to get to the next takeoff point as they're just like smashing down. It's really cool looking.
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, there's a lot of good set pieces. There's a decent amount of action. There is a lot of dialogue and character building, and I really do think this is more of a character study of Loki, and I think that's totally fine. I think a lot of people, like I said, we've talked about negative people. It was like, oh, this is so boring. weren't there more action things? And then when they do action things, they're like, oh, this action scene's been done to death. It's like, it's just, some people are just never happy. Like I said, I had fun with the show. I thought it was great. The 5th episode was probably my favorite of the whole series.
Oh my gosh.
Because what happens is Loki gets zapped away to this kind of purgatory type.
Like the void.
The void, basically. And he meets other Lokis. So we have Old Man Loki, basically, like classic Loki with the yellow...
Yeah, played by Richard Chamberlain. Like
Richard E.
giant...
Grant. Richard E. Grant. Not Richard
Chamberlain.
Richard Chamberlain is long dead, honey.
Anyway. Yes, Richard E. Grant. My apologies.
And then we have Kid Loki. We have a Black Loki. And then we have the best of all, Alligator Loki.
with his little horned helmet. That's how you know he's Loki.
Not since Groot will you love a character for doing so little.
Yeah.
But just being there.
For just sitting there.
Like an alligator. It's a freaking... And, and some people are like, oh, it's dumb. I'm like, oh, it's fun. It's like we're talking about the campy thing of WandaVision.
Yeah.
It's like, you have to understand, yes, comic can be very dramatic. Yes, comics can be very action-packed. But comics can also be campy and silly, and god damn it, I like that. Mm-hmm. Because you know what? There can be a lot of miserable things in the world. And you know what? It's nice to be like, let's just laugh at an alligator wearing Loki horns. And that's fun. Why not? It's a comic book.
Exactly.
Just like with science fiction.
I love the fact that we've reached the point in the comic book film genre that we can start exploring these little subgenres. That makes me very happy.
Right. Definitely.
Yeah. Like Loki definitely, it does, I can talk. Loki definitely feels like sort of a spiritual successor to WandaVision.
Totally.
Like they kind of like set the stage for like, we're going to start getting into some weird shit.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
then Loki was all like, weird shit!
What do you got in there? Yeah. Right. Like I said, everything was really well done. I really don't have too many complaints. Now, we did watch the last episode yesterday. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, the spoilers, you don't know, it is getting a season 2. It's already in development, which is cool. So, it does leave very much on a cliffhanger. Now, I would agree with something that Cinema Snob said as well, was that, like, and a couple other people have said, the only problem with the last episode, there's some great set pieces, there's some great characters introduced and stuff. It takes a long time to get to what they're trying to do. There's a lot of sitting and talking, which dialogue is great, and there's some good scenes and some good dialogue. But a long time to get there. So it felt like we were in the same place for almost the entire episode.
Yeah. It feels like a lot, like, yes, some important world building happens in these conversations, but it's like there's a lot more than any other episode in the Loki series, I feel.
Yes.
This is like the last episode is the one that feels like it's spinning its wheels to the dramatic ending, which, to be fair, is a very dramatic cliffhanger ending.
Yes.
It takes a while to get there. It takes too long to get there.
And then we meet the person behind, the man behind it all, or the he who shall not be seen.
He who remains.
Yeah, he who remains. Played by Jonathan Majors, who, of course, you might recently remember from Lovecraft Country. He's a good actor, but he definitely, at this point, very much hams it up.
He is having a ball.
I actually love that. The description was basically... Yeah, I love the description was based from somebody who was just that, like... It's like someone got really drunk and then they sent him on to go on stage. And just says, this will be fine. He very much hams it up, but he's basically a variant himself. And essentially he's trying to stop what will become Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah.
Who, of course, isn't a big bad coming. And that's kind of how things kind of end on the cliffhanger, is that Loki ends up back in the TVA, but it's sort of a revamped TVA because Owen Wilson doesn't know who he is now.
Yes.
And then you have this big sculpture of basically Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah.
And the judge also, she gets away from Owen Wilson and stuff like that, and so we don't know what her deal is going to be in the next season either.
Yeah, spoilers. Yes, the series ends with there's this whole thing about the one sacred timeline, which is everything we've seen in the entire MCU up until this point has been the one sacred timeline, and the importance of maintaining that sacred timeline to keep like other variants from like trying to like blah, blah,
take over your life or
right, the aspect of maintaining this has also destroyed a lot of people's lives. Our Loki winds up becoming victim to it. All the Lokis that we meet in the Void have been victim of it. Sylvie, Lady Loki, was very traumatized by it because they took her when she was only a little girl. And then there's of course, also the big plot reveal that everyone who works at the TVA are themselves variants
taken,
who have had their minds wiped from their original lives, had their entire lives taken away from them so that they can serve this one cause. And you find out later on how that affects them when Sylvie starts reaching into their minds and pulling their memories back to the surface. So the fact that there's this one sacred timeline is not necessarily a good thing. Like, it's ruined a lot of countless amounts of lives. So Sylvie winds up killing who remains.
And let me say a compliment to that too. I like that she didn't say a cheesy line before she did it. She just stabbed him.
Yeah,
like, no quippy line. Just
she pissed.
She was. Let's get this
pissed.
You're dead.
And that is what causes all the multiverse to branch off,
which of course will lead into Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness.
Because now they're actually
and Spider-Man.
Because now there actually is a multiverse of madness. Right? Like this, like that ending of all the endings. Like that's the one. It's all like, oh, this is going to affect everything going forward.
So, I have an interesting thought that has popped in my head.
Sure, I love interesting.
Now, as bad as this was in the comics and was heavily criticized, I do wonder. With this multiverse, if we are going to see Tom Holland act as Ben Reilly in the Clone Saga. I'm the real Peter Parker, it wouldn't surprise me. I remember somebody else was saying, it's just like, and now Eric Foreman from the 70s Show can meet up with Eddie Brock and Tobey Maguire dancing down the street. So, obviously, with this multiverse opening, it definitely does open up a lot of possibilities. A lot of the rumors around No Way Home is that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are going to be popping up. They've already confirmed Doc Ock, played by Alfred Molina, is going to be there, and Jamie Foxx, played by Electro. So, we're already starting to get some of this. I assume that Doctor Strange will probably have a lot of characters showing up as well, or alternate versions, or variants of, different characters and stuff like that. So, it definitely is very exciting. To get to the multiverse. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And it's cool, like we mentioned before, about how the series' ultimate, aside from this big reveal, everything leading up to this has basically been a character study. Specifically a character study of Loki and kind of what makes him tick without getting really Freudian about it. Because we've already gotten really Freudian with Loki in the Thor movies. So we don't need to do that again.
And there's even a scene where him and Sylvie kiss, which is basically he's kissing himself.
It's the most Loki thing that I think has ever happened.
And just I'll mention this because some people made a big deal about it. In a passing conversation, he mentions that there were lots of men and women. Basically, Vince said he's bisexual. But it was such a passing moment. It wasn't like a big to do. It wasn't like he was just grabbing guys and girls and kissing all of them, or just having some big orgy or something like. It's like
it's canon to the comic books, and most importantly, it's Norse mythology.
Remember, he turned himself into a horse. And then,
he's turned himself into a woman to have sex with a horse god.
It's like, this is a very weird character.
He's like, honestly, if I recall my Norse mythology correctly, they're all bi. Like, they all, like...
Well, Hercules, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that's Greek, but...
Well,
no,
Greek,
someone made a fight, like, they put a picture of Loki with, like, the bisexual pride flag colors.
Yeah.
And then they had a caption that said, Loki Laufeyson putting the bi back in Bifrost.
Nice.
That was great.
And see, but it's such, I personally thought it was fine for what, besides it being canon. It also didn't feel like the rest of the show was just focused on it, know, because so much CW shows, I like to comment on, is that it's just someone that becomes their entire character then. Whereas it can just be a part of Loki's character being bisexual, or part of whatever other characters we get coming up,
Yeah.
And that's what it should be, because the same thing, when it's a straight character, you don't make a big deal about them being straight. That's not their entire character.
Right.
They have other things going on. They're talented, or they have skills, or they have a power. Yeah. So it's like, that's why it's one of those things that CW is really bad at. Is they'll just be like, I am gay. This is what I'm here to do. I am gay. The power of gay, and it's just it's insulting.
Right. And one of the cool things about the show was how, like. So this Loki has he hasn't been plucked. He removed himself from the timeline at the time of the end of the Avengers, after the Avengers have like captured him, and he's getting ready to be taken back to Asgard to be judged. So there was a lot of concern that, like, oh, this means he's not going, like, he's like forgotten all of his character development that he got going forward, right up until he got killed by Thanos in Infinity War.
Yeah.
And I felt the show handled that very well.
Yeah.
One, by they have like a file on him that they let him watch.
Yeah.
And
so he knows what happens.
So he sees everything that would have happened to him, including his death, which
yeah, it's scary to see. Yeah,
that'd be freaky. Yeah. So like he's consuming that development, and then he gets to use that as a springboard to forge his own path, which, like, as a character, like, he's always kind of wanted to do in the first place, and he's always been like kind of like allowed himself to be bogged down by manipulative tendencies and desire for power, and that was never his, and feelings of not belonging. And I found it very cool the way they maneuvered his character into a point where it really does feel like he has grown by the end of the season.
Totally.
Into a legitimate anti-hero.
Right. Yeah, and also a bonus, there's a scene where he gets stuck in a time loop, and Sif shows up.
Sif! We miss you,
kicks him in the balls.
Repeatedly.
I think she's supposed to be in Thor: Love and Thunder is what I've heard.
Oh, cool.
So that'll be cool. She should have been Lady Thor. Anyway, but that's a whole subject for another time. So, you got something else? What do you got?
Oh, no, just...
Okay. Oh, our grade.
Yeah.
A+. I said, I'm looking forward to a second season. I'm looking forward to the multiverse thing. I know some people are like, oh, multiverse. And I'm like, no, I think it's going to be cool. I think they do some cool stuff with it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Just because the last episode did drag, I'm going to say A.
Okay.
But, like, everything else I thought was awesome.
Yeah, the only reason for the plus was just I felt like the last 5 or 10 minutes.
No, fair.
Ended on a fair,
it's your grade.
Thing, yeah.
It is your grade.
But yeah, so those be the 3 Disney Plus shows that we've watched so far.
Cool.
Now there's a What If, that's the animated one. I don't know if we're going to watch that or not. We might occasionally watch it, but I don't know. I'm not...
It doesn't feel like...
Yeah, this
necessary viewing, yeah.
It's not really going to tie too much in, I don't think, to the movies. And then I know we got a Hawkeye series coming up. Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, that'd be cool. Moon Knight. Then there's Armor Wars. So there's a lot of them coming up in the next year or two, So they just keep up the quality and the good acting and good story. It should be fine. All right, so cool. That takes care of the Disney Plus shows. So we'll be back in just a few minutes with our Black Widow thoughts, and that'll be the last thing we'll be doing for the channel today. So we can do other things because we still have to finish the Fear Street trilogy, and we'll do a review for that next week.
Yay!
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.